Welcome, Satnam, Namaste. Welcome to I'm Woke. I'm your host, Emelina Calder. Today I'm gonna jump into a video where I go through how to feel less alone and how to move through an abandonment wound. If you're new, welcome. My name is Emelina. I'm a high-performance life and business coach, personal branding and digital marketing coach, a cosmic shaman, and a spiritual mentor for personal brands, creatives, and entrepreneurs. The type of content you can expect to find on my channel is going to be lots of energy updates for each month, the new moons and full moons that I channel from the Akashic records, as well as some deep dive personal and spiritual development, wisdom, and real life experience to help you create yourself into the next level version of yourself and to create a life where you feel like you're on purpose, you're fulfilled, you feel creative, you have beautiful relationships, you feel like you belong, and you're creating yourself into a whole, complete human. If that sounds like you, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, tap the bell for notifications so you don't miss any videos or energy updates. Also remember to hit that like button below, and I'd love to hear in the comments if you feel like you suffer from an abandonment wound, or if you feel alone and how you alleviate that feeling of aloneness for yourself. How you facilitate and give yourself your own sense of belonging, any skills you've developed along the way that might be really great for other people to hear. As you share your experience, we all learn from each other, and if I could be very straightforward and honest, we are all just walking each other home. Now, if you want to strengthen your own source connection, your own connection to your creativity, your own connection to your heart, your personal Kundalini energy, I have a free guided meditation that I'm going to link in the description below so that you can strengthen your own personal sense of belonging and deeply feel your own connection to source. Without further ado, let's jump right into the video. I won't sugarcoat it. Relationships are hard. Honestly, most of us have some level of abandonment wounding that we often avoid or neglect in one way or another because it's so painful. It's so hard to work through, but because I've been really diving into my own abandonment wounding, my heart decided that now was the time to be able to share, offer, and explain different aspects of what I've been moving through to give you the experience, the wisdom, and the insight that might perhaps give you what you need so that you can feel less alone, feel like you belong, and heal these aspects of your own heart space. So why do we feel alone and what causes it? I've been doing a deep dive onto my own abandonment wounding and my own feeling of aloneness. And what I'm gonna do is share a bit of my experience with you so you can see where I'm coming from, kind of found my own process on what works, where I am actually healing and retraining my own heart so that I'm feeling really deep connection instead of abandonment. I'm replacing the abandonment with connection, and I'm doing it repetitively over and over and over and over again until it becomes my natural state of being, my natural state of feeling. And I'm gonna give myself a little props right now. I think it's a little brave to come out and publish this video and talk about this while I'm in the middle of my process. I am seeing some real progress in myself, and I couldn't help but share it because I'm just actually so excited about my own progress that I think it's gonna help you guys too. So why do we feel alone? From my experience, I think we feel the most alone when we assume that our needs aren't going to be met. Because if you think about it, if you knew that you were gonna be met, if you knew that you were gonna feel that sense of belonging in your heart, you wouldn't feel alone, you would feel the anticipation of being met. So the reason why we feel alone is because we anticipate that there is no resource available, that there are no connections that can be made. We anticipate having a scarcity experience. I'm not gonna use the word mindset because I don't think this is a mindset issue. It's an experience issue. It's what the heart remembers. The memory of the heart is what we've experienced in the past, not necessarily what we think about the experience, but the feeling or the impression that the experiences that we lived through in the past left on our heart. And then our heart creates an anchor of that experience. And the more we experience a specific type of emotion, the stronger the neural pathways of the heart anchor into that experience. And the faster the neural pathways of the heart actually wire that experience for us to feel on a regular basis, on the daily basis. So just like the mind, the heart has neural pathways. It has a high level of an intelligence where it is actually thinking, but it's not a mental thinking process. It is a sensual, experiential process. It is sensing, it is feeling, it is emotional, and it remembers the emotions from the experiences we've lived through. So again, why do we feel alone? Because we assume no help, because there were times when we needed something in the past and those needs were not met. The emotional needs were not expressed. Other people didn't accept us for what we needed, or we were in scarce resource. Perhaps our guardians didn't have those needs available or could not meet us in the ways that we needed. So the feeling of aloneness is assuming that our needs can't be met. It's assuming that we have no support. It's assuming that we have no help. It's assuming that if we reach out to the universe, whether it's to source or another person or a human, that we will not be met with what it is that we need emotionally, viscerally, sensationally. Essentially, it's the feeling of being without adequate resource to succeed. So then we feel incapable of success. And that is what I have personally identified my own feeling of aloneness is incapability of success. It's the assumption of failure. So then we assume being alone, we assume not being able to have our needs met. So it's like, why even try, right? That's that chronic feeling of aloneness. And honestly, if you identify with this, kudos to you, because most humans do, but most won't admit it because it takes a lot of courage to say, I feel alone. Most of us that feel alone hide it, and I'll jump into that. We hide it in a lot of different ways because none of us truly want to admit that feeling of aloneness, because once you admit it, you have to feel it. And I gotta be honest, it's just not a great feeling. It's the feeling of perpetual failure. That's what aloneness feels like. Now, I'm not talking about the aloneness like I enjoy my own company alone. That's a separate topic because I very much enjoy my own company alone. But just to clarify in a short YouTube video, that this is specifically for that feeling of aloneness that stems from a level of depression or wanting to reach out and knowing that you won't be reciprocated. And then having to deal with that emotional upheaval, that pain in the heart on a daily basis when you know you have specific needs that you need to meet and you can't meet them, or feel like you're not capable of meeting them, or feel like the people around you aren't capable of reciprocating. And then all of that moves into what is a more chronic aloneness, which is an abandonment wound. And again, this is not like isolated to a few people. I don't know the statistics, but I mean, honestly, I think a huge portion of the population has some pretty significant abandonment wounding. And it's not something to be in shame about. It's just something to know that happens and that we can be in acceptance around. And if you understand what it is and what it feels like for yourself to feel that feeling of aloneness and abandonment, when you feel it, then you can move into the solution, which is to accept it. It is to move into outreach. It is to allow connections. It is allowing your heart space to open up so that there's an invitation for other people to join you, which is really what we're all looking for. And that is my esoteric metaphysical speak of saying belonging. You're looking for belonging. We're looking for belonging. We want to be understood, not just mentally, not just physically with our bodies, not just spiritually for those of us like me that are all really hyper metaphysical, but also we want to feel a sense of belonging emotionally. And it's all okay. And once you understand your needs, you can go get them met. And that's beautiful. Okay, so here's how the heart works around this emotional abandonment wound or abandonment issues. And I know we hear all of this in like psychology talk, but really it's the inability to connect to other humans and feel a positive emotional bond where you feel understood for how you are, how you be, how you feel, regardless of what the state is that you are feeling into now. And the real acceptance of being able to move through an abandonment wound is allowing yourself to feel all of the different emotional range of experiences that you can feel around other humans, and them and you accepting yourself totally and completely, showing yourself again and again and again and again through many different experiences that it's okay for you to feel and be everything that it is to feel and be as a human. It's really accepting your humanity at every level. It's not something you can bypass. This is not a spiritual bypass. You cannot just like create affirmations to affirm it away or attract enough money where that belonging will just become like, no, like it is an actual emotional experience where you have to experience the range of the emotion over and over and over again and retrain yourself to know that it's safe and you are accepted as you are in each separate experience of the full dynamic emotional range of what it is to be human. And once we expand the definition to that, I would say probably 100% of humanity has abandonment wounds. And I'm really proud of myself right now for exposing this within myself. And I'm happy to be a part of it so that I can explain it from this place so maybe you can gain something from it. And if you do, great. If you don't, great. I don't mind either way. You're here, so thanks for watching my video. You're already contributing to my own personal sense of belonging. Now you guys are seeing a real look into my life. I don't have strong family bonds. I don't have any family bonds. So, hi, I'm here on YouTube. I got real strong friendships. We're good. She's been working on it, but you know, you gotta source your belonging from somewhere, and we've all got a lot of different methods for figuring out how to survive and thrive on planet Earth. The key of which is accepting your humanity, living your humanity, being okay with being completely human, again, with high dynamic emotional range. Feelings are not bad. Generally speaking, it's the stories that we tell about our feelings that then become what the law of attraction might create as like more repetitive negative experiences for us or something like that. It's really the stories. It's not the feelings themselves. You can feel your full dynamic emotional range. It's going to be best for you to accept yourself through that range. And all of this, like, I can't all explain it completely mentally. This is a heart-based experience. So even in this moment, trust that spiritually the neural pathway connections are being made into your heart space and into your spiritual consciousness awareness so that the energetic information is projected through the video and that you receive it through your own source connection and your own source guidance so that you can then unpack this information in a way that would make the most sense for you, because it's not all mental and I can't explain it all mentally, but the transmission is here for you. Okay, so what happens when we assume that we are in the experience of being alone? When we assume that we're alone, we assume that we are not resourced. We assume automatically failure. And then we anchor that sensation, that feeling of failure in the heart, which becomes an experience of an expectation. And then we don't want to have to experience what that feels like because we don't like it. So then we create a map to avoid it. And each of us has a heart strategy, just like how you would have a mental strategy to avoid pain. Now, if we were to break down the feeling of aloneness, it is to feel without God. It is to feel without connection. And none of us really want to feel that. So our strategy, the map that we create in our heart, is an avoidance map. It is a strategy to not feel, and we've all got them. And those of us that feel even more feelings of aloneness have even more intense avoidance strategies to reject and change that feeling into something else or distract ourselves into a different feeling. Generally speaking, into just not feeling, the numbness, getting into some place of not having to feel the things we don't have to feel. Now, the things we don't want to feel are gonna feel like grief, they're gonna feel like pain, and they're gonna feel like heartbreak. And honestly, none of us wanna feel it. When you're there, if you allow yourself to feel, the best thing is gonna be identifying what that feeling is. What is the sensation? So for me, when I'm in that feeling of heartbreak, when I'm in that feeling of failure, I feel like my heart is being held in a vice grip. And if I'm being very honest with you guys, when I'm not in avoidance, I feel that probably 3 times a day. I feel it when I wake up, I feel it sometime in the middle of the day, and I feel it towards the end of the day. And I have a strategy that I will explain with you guys on how I move through that and how I'm working through my own rehabilitation and recovery process so that my heart can feel safe in existing, in feeling, and in being very present with me throughout my experience of the day, because I'm allowing it to have the connection that it needs. Okay, so here's when we develop a map of pain avoidance in the heart. Here's what that not feeling typically looks like. It takes on kind of a different strategy for each person, depending on who you are and what your preferences are, but it'll look something like this. It can look like substance abuse. It can look like alcoholism. It can look like workaholicism. It can look like being and staying really, really busy. It can look like overeating. It can look like over-exercise. It can look like any series of addictions, avoidance, toxic relationships. It can look like non-attachments. It can look like over-attachments. It can look like disassociation. And it can look like hyper-independence or over-dependence. Right? It depends on who you are and your experience, but we have lots of different coping mechanisms and coping strategies to avoid the pain of feeling. All of which stems from, generally speaking, early childhood trauma, our needs not being met, our heart not being able to emotionally bond to our caregivers in a really healthy way, and some level of us as kids perceiving that our needs wouldn't be able to be met. A lot of us deal through that aloneness or that abandonment through isolation, which you might think is like counterproductive or counterintuitive, but it actually totally makes sense. Because if you feel like you can't have your needs met and you feel like failure is inevitable, then you naturally self-isolate because you are the only thing you can control. And it's like, well, if I can't control any of them, then let me just keep them out. Because if you feel like everybody else is a threat and everyone else, it's like rolling the dice whether or not your needs are going to be met, you'll naturally start to self-isolate, which is also really interesting besides the fact that it's a trauma response, because you can actually self-isolate around a lot of people as well. It can look like you have relationships, but you're actually in self-isolation. And I'll be very transparent right now, because this is just what's stepping forward for me, that I was in a relationship for 11 years, and you would think that I was not isolated. But when I reflect back on that relationship, I was emotionally isolated, not as a result of any issue per se with the other person, but because I was so self-reliant. I was so like not trusting of humans and so terrified of people that I would naturally isolate my heart and guard my heart pretty much no matter what. And I would be frequently surrounded by business people as well. And I was always doing lots of networking and everything. And I had friends, but I still managed to keep myself in some level of emotional isolation. There are a lot of different ways that isolation can show up. It can come off as a fear of people. It can come off as mistrust. It can come off as self-control or no self-control. I mean, it's gonna go in like a number of different directions. For me, it looks like hyper-independence as a trauma response. It looks like hyper self-resiliency. And I know that will resonate with a lot of you, which is why I'm saying that. For me, it can look like isolation. It can look like hermiting. God knows she could be a hermit. A lot of us spiritual people take that isolation and turn it into a tremendous strength, into meditation, into cosmic awareness, into metaphysical development. And that's a beautiful strength to have from something that is otherwise like really detrimental. And this is just like, you know, the yin yang, like wherever there's a weakness, there's a gift. The law of balance is real. Everything is balanced. My emotional isolation was balanced by my ability to connect cosmically and spiritually. And truly, if I'm being very honest with you guys, I never felt alone because my channel, I'm not alone. My channel is so loud for me all of the time, but it is because I didn't have the ability to connect emotionally in my immediate environment when I was growing up as a child. So I was given the connection cosmically. It's like having the genes turned on out of a survival mode when you're young. A lot of us that have these psychic abilities did not have the actual ability to connect with people and be able to bond emotionally. So the universe, source, gives us, through the law of balance, what would be an equal exchange. So we're given psychic ability so that we can connect cosmically and still be able to connect and feel and sense and see what's going on, maybe without the emotional abilities. Can you guys tell how much work I've been doing, by the way? If you had any idea, I do not spiritually bypass. I have been working on my emotional integration and the integration into my physical form for years. And my coaches will tell you, like, I really do this work, which is why I can show up in the way that I do for you guys, why I can be so raw and honest and just who I am, is because I'm not escaping out of my crown chakra the way that I used to when I was younger, because those were the only skills that I had. I really do focus on being human. Okay, one last way that people tend to deal with abandonment issues is they create a false identity. Again, nothing negative to anyone doing this. It literally is how we've been able to get our needs met, is when you're not accepted for being who you are, you then create a false identity or a false version of yourself, a mask, in order to get your needs met from the people that needed to meet your needs when you were growing up. And then those things get extended into our adulthoods. They become our performance masks, where we feel like we are performing, where we feel like we are doing things in order to get or receive something from someone else. It is a subtle manipulation. It is subtle control. Most of us don't realize that we're doing it, and it doesn't mean you're bad. It's just something to like tap into and tune into and be like, am I acting this way because this is truly who I am? Or am I acting this way because I'm looking to get something from someone else, because I'm looking to manipulate my needs being met? And can I release that idea of manipulation? And can I trust source to deliver what I need to me, whether it's from that person or another person, regardless? And can I trust that I can be myself in the process? Or do I continue to feel like I have to contort myself in order to get my needs met? This is like a constant human plight, like that we are all given all the time. It just is part of what it is to be human. It's part of the human experience. Do I have to manipulate to get my needs met physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually? Or can I trust and be myself? And can that be enough? Is my trust and my faith in myself and in source and my own connection strong enough where I don't feel like I need to coerce, persuade, contort, or manipulate those around me to be in control to get my needs met? And when we have abandonment wounds, we move into manipulation. We move into self-manipulation and manipulation of others in order to get our needs met, because the original abandonment is the separation from source. So how do you change feeling alone? How do you change this abandonment stuff? I wouldn't focus on changing it. I actually would just focus on accepting it. Trying to change it can create more separation. It's also like a denial that it's still not okay that you feel this way, when in reality, it's okay that you feel this way. And the reason why you feel this way is because people or your caregivers around you made it not okay for you to feel this way, right? Like they made it not okay for your needs to be met. So the key here is accepting yourself as you are. And the point here is to not avoid it, to not shove it under the rug. So from that place, then you need to deal with the pain. You need to sit with it. You need to show yourself that you can handle it, that you can handle these parts of yourself, and show your inner child again and again and again that you are not truly abandoned, that you are here for yourself and that others are here for you too, through this slow recovery, rehabilitation process within your own personal emotional space. So accept it. Stop running from it and ask for help. Ask for your needs to be met. This is going to come down to you learning how to express your needs in a really healthy way to others, giving them the space to say yes or no to you. And neither of those things means that you're bad or that your needs can't be met. It's just allowing the other adults in your life to facilitate your needs in a really healthy way and allow them to also be completely themselves and express themselves in the way that they need to without trying to change them either. And when you ask for your needs to be met, you're not asking other people from the place of being demanding, but more from the place of being vocal about what it is that you need, not expecting people to read your mind. Because quite literally, everyone that does actually love you, that is coming from a place of unconditional love and support, will accommodate you. If not in that immediate moment, they'll find a time, they'll make the time, they'll become available, and they'll let you know. But it's up to you to begin to describe your needs and ask for those needs to be met. The more vocal you are, the more visible are, the more likely your needs are to be met. And your own inner child, if you have an abandonment wound, needs to know that that can be the case. Your own inner child needs to know that she or he can be accommodated. And part of that accommodation is you asking for what you need. If you love this video, stay tuned. I think you're gonna love part 2 on how to stop feeling alone and start feeling more connected. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to tap that like button, tap the subscribe button and the bell for notifications so you don't miss any videos like this. When you're feeling that sensation of isolation, of aloneness? What do you do? What works for you? And if you don't know, I'd invite you to think about it for a minute and then leave a comment down below, because I think you guys will find the more comments that stack in, everyone will be helping everyone else, giving their own strategies, so that we're creating even a baby community down in the comments section, so people can start to realize, oh, that's like another way that I can create that feeling of connection within myself and others in my experience that maybe was different than I thought. I love you guys so much. Thank you for joining me in this video. If you love my vibe, I'm gonna leave some links in the description below on a number of ways that you can work with me. I have a couple of deep dive online programs, a private one-on-one mentorship program where I hold your hand through the process of transformation and high performance spiritual coaching. And I also published a meditation album called the I Am Success Meditations, which are 5.5 hours of guided activations and meditations that help you retrain your subtle energy body around your self-worth, your personal sense of confidence, your love, acceptance, and compassion for the self, helping you to retrain your heart to feel safe and stable in pursuing your desire, retraining your own Akashic Records wealth blueprint so that you can make money and have access to resource more easily. There are so many meditations in there that are really robust and beautiful that retrain your subconscious to be able to expect success in all of the different energetic ways that success comes. I hope you enjoyed this video. Love you guys so much. I will see you in the next video. Until next time, be blessed, be balanced, stay connected, give yourself lots of love and compassion. Peace.